everyone, and welcome back. We all have our favorite paper flowers. Now, it doesn't matter if they're Michael's brand like these or they're the Prima flowers. We all love paper flowers. So I'm going to show you how you can make your own because, as you know, paper flowers are expensive. But times come when you don't need the best paper flowers out there, but you want an embellishment, and so this is an easy way to make your own. Now, using the Accent Essentials, I cut out accent number 31 on shift, which was just a round scallop. Now, I went ahead and cut it at 2 inches, 1.5 inches, and 1 inch because I'm going to be doing several different sizes. So, what you want to do is cut 4 scallops per flower. Now, if you wanted, you can actually do these on a paper punch. But I like using the Cricut because I can just pick whatever size I want and then go ahead and cut them. But once you have them all cut out, just go ahead and punch what you think is the center or thereabouts. And I just do an estimate. I'm not real particular. And I just punch a hole in the center, just like that. And I'll do the next group. Okay. And just eyeball that again. Oh, that's definitely off. And just go ahead and punch. And it doesn't matter on this if you're perfect or not because flowers are not going to be perfect. They're a natural item, so they're not always going to be made symmetrical. So just punch out all your flowers, centers. And then next what we're going to be doing is we're going to be spraying them. Now I actually am going to be putting a glimmer mist on them because I want them to have that shimmery feel. Now if you don't have glimmer mist, you can just spray them with water and do the same thing. Or you can make your own glimmer mist, and if you don't know how to make it, you can go to one of my other videos, and it's just entitled Glimmer Mist, and it'll show you how to do it. Now what I'm going to be doing is just placing it in my box. Hopefully you can see that. Let me go ahead and lift the camera view a little bit. There you go. And we're just going to be spraying these flowers. And you do want to use a box just because it's messy. And I don't care if it's messy as far as when getting the paint on it. I get it on my hands all the time. I just don't want the overspray everywhere else. So once you have it nice and sprayed up, you can already see the shimmer on that. Just set it aside and go on to the next one. And you can spray several at a time. I'm trying to keep this on camera, which is a little bit difficult. Ooh, almost sprayed it at the camera. That would not have been good. Now I have my paint right now a little bit thicker. So if I was actually doing this on the wax, which I might go and end up doing, you would get, ooh, thunderstorm outside. You'd use more paint, or excuse me, less paint than doing it in the spray box. But I actually want these really damp. You want to put a good heavy coat on so that you saturate the papers. I'm hoping that you see this okay. I keep trying to look into the viewfinder as I do this. So I just kind of spray it and then just get it nice and well coated. And if it gets on your fingers and you can just dampen enough with what's on your fingers, that works too. Again, I don't worry about getting paint on my hands. I'm not that fussy. It's kind of one of those things that washes off. It's non-staining, so if you get it all over you, what's the big deal? It all washes out. So just give them a good spray. My paint is actually mixed a little bit thick right now, I can tell, because it's coming out more in a stream than a mist. So when I made this batch, I was just a little bit heavier on the paint. And that's what happens. It doesn't really matter as far as how it's going to impact your flower. It's just, it's not going to have a softer spray. It's just going to come out more in a stream instead of a mist. So just keep on spraying. So I am going to go ahead and continue spraying, and I'll be right back because I don't want to have to make you guys suffer through watching me spray all these flowers. Okay, I actually went and got my husband to help me film because I soon realized that with paint all over my fingers, it was hard to turn on and off the camera. So now that you have all of your flowers either coated with glimmer mist or water, it's time to go ahead to the next step, which is just crumpling them up. It's as simple as that. Just turn them into one big ball. Doesn't matter which way, you just want to scrunch them. And go ahead and do that for all of your flowers. Now I did 5 flowers, so that is why I didn't want to have you watch me have to spray every single one of them on the last footage. And you don't really need to sit here and watch me scrunch up all of these petals. So while I finish this up, I'll be back in a moment and you carry on in your end. Okay, now we're just about done. Just one more to go. And here we go. Okay, so now that we have all these tightly rolled up into a ball, we're going to sit here and let them just go ahead and dry overnight. Now, if you needed to speed up the process because you needed a flower right away, you can use a heat gun to go ahead, an embossing gun, to dry them quicker. Although I've tried both methods, I really like if they dry naturally. I end up with a better result. I don't know why, it just does. So we're going to leave these for the next day, and tomorrow morning we'll go ahead and finish these up. See you tomorrow. Hello everyone and welcome back. As you can see, I've already started unfolding the flowers from yesterday. I did leave a couple undone so I can show you. You want to be very careful when you start unfolding the flowers, and that's because they were wet when you rolled them up, and now the paint has dried and they've become really stiff, and you want to make sure that when you open them you don't rip them. So just carefully keep prying at them little by little and they'll start to unfold. And sometimes the harder they are to open, actually the prettier the flower, because you've gotten a really nice tight fold on them and it just puts a lot of dimension on your flower. So, and I know at this point it does not look very nice, but trust me, when it gets all done, it's going to be beautiful. So, okay, so we have that one done. And let's go on to our last one. Okay. Okay, so just gently unfold it little by little. And usually when I make them, I think I might have said earlier, I do a whole bunch at a time. And it just makes it easier because you can do assembly line fashion, and then you have them ready for next time you need them. Okay, so now the next step. Some will be tighter than others, while some will be more open. Usually this is how I determine how I'm going to build my flower. I look for the one that's the most open, and this will be the bottom piece. But before I start assembling them, I like to do one more step, and that is to paint all the edges. Now for the bottom flower, I always edge it with a slightly brown color. In this case, I'm going to use Color Box Cocoa, and I'm just going to lightly hit the edges all the way around in a circle. And that's just because a natural flower, their leaves will kind of turn a little bit brown, and it usually starts on the outside working in. So I'm just going to go ahead and put brown on that one. And then using my color box orchid and a little dauber, I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3 petals, and lightly again just go ahead and hit the edges. There is no uniform pattern to this. It doesn't matter how you hit it. You just want to give it some color variation. So by the time you start with the original pink paper, you use the glimmer mist, and then you ink the edges, you have a lot of color dimension to your flowers. Now I know this won't show up very well on the camera, so you won't be able to see what I'm talking about. But once you make one and try it for yourself, you'll see just how pretty it is. Okay, so that's all it takes. And go ahead and set that aside. I went ahead earlier and did all the other ones. So now you just have to pick out your brad. Now I'm just using a very small yellow brad for the center, and the brads aren't actually going to show, at least not in mine. You can make these so that yours do show, but I don't want mine to show. So that way you can just pick any small brad that you have. So I'm going to put the one with the brown on the bottom, and then I'm just going to stack the others however I want. So I'm just going to kind of look at my pieces, and starting with the top piece, I'm going to thread it onto the brad, and then just build it as I go, making sure the brown is on the bottom. Now this is the tougher part because they're all crinkly and it's harder to get them on that way. Okay, so once you have it through, just go ahead and fasten your brad. Make it as tight as you possibly can. I'm trying to show that on camera. Okay, now your flower looks really flat, but you're going to go ahead and start crimping it back up again in a tight little ball. Crimp it all in on itself. Just keep crimping it. Crimp it in on itself, one layer at a time. And as you do that, you're going to have this little tight little bud here. Okay, now go ahead and set that aside while you do your other ones. And then when you come back to it later, you're going to gently unfold. I usually let mine sit over time, but I'm not doing it for the purpose of the video. Just unfold it enough till you get the shape that you want. Now on this one, obviously I didn't give it enough time to really sit in that final position long enough. And just shape your flower how you want it. And for me, I think that's just about the way I want it. Now again, oh, hopefully I didn't get that off camera. Now again, I have a feeling that the lighting in here is really bad, so you can't see all the color variations that are in here. But it's just gorgeous pink. There's a little bit of lavender tones. It's just all blended really nicely and has this great shimmer. It looks very antique, very vintage. And so I hope you like this. I'm going to go ahead and put together all my other flowers, and hopefully you'll see this in my next upcoming project. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful night, and God bless.